Many may not know, but over 50 years ago, the world as we know it almost came to an end. Known as the Cuban Missile Crisis, it was a tense confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union that almost led to nuclear war. As a history teacher, it is my objective to teach people about the mistakes of the past so that we don't repeat it. It is so important to understand the Cuban Missile Crisis, even 50 years later, because it shows us how brutal modern warfare really can be, especially with the use of the atomic bomb. Society's efforts to learn from the Cuban Missile Crisis will surely divert future conflicts. Today we're going to talk about three things: the ending of World War II, the Cold War, and how that led to the Cuban Missile Crisis. The ending of World War II produced two global superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. While the defeat of Nazi Germany was a triumphant moment for both countries, the extreme differences in ideologies made it difficult for the two to compromise on anything. While the United States preached Western democracy, the Soviet Union thought it was their duty to spread communism. And according to the post-World War II archives, the only factor that inhibited further Soviet aggression after World War II was the fact that the US had the atomic bomb. So fear of annihilation, the Soviet Union and the United States built up their armory, which ultimately led to the Cold War. The Cold War, titled Cold, particularly because it was yet to involve actual fighting, was from about 1945 to 1989. During this time, both the US and Soviet Union, through various methods, mainly through the placement of their soldiers and missiles, were constantly in a chess match. It was like a chess match, except without actually taking out the other players' pieces. So the Soviet Union wanted to get the upper hand on the United States, so they placed their missiles about 90 miles south of the United States in the small country of Cuba. This was a big no-no. With the discovery of Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, less than 100 miles away from the coast of Florida, John F. Kennedy ordered a naval blockade on the small island. With the naval blockade, he wanted to ensure that no more missiles were going to reach the island of Cuba and threaten the United States. However, Khrushchev, who was the acting president of the Soviet Union, thought John F. Kennedy was bluffing, so he had more ships send missiles. John F. Kennedy stated that if any of the Russian ships surpassed the naval blockade, that he would send a first strike. A first strike meaning missiles toward the Soviet Union, in which the Soviet Union would respond back with missiles. At the time, the Soviet Union and the United States had enough missiles to destroy the world 1,000 times over. So, this was a major conflict. People were in fear. People went to the grocery stores and cleared out the shelves. It's a lot like COVID, except with nuclear bombs. So, John F. Kennedy and Khrushchev were they could not come to an agreement. So the ships kept on coming and coming, and it appeared that the world was on its way toward another World War III. However, through the efforts of Bobby Kennedy, who was the acting Attorney General, and another Soviet official, they came to an agreement. With this agreement, Khrushchev luckily backed his ships away, which carried the missiles, and agreed to remove missiles from Cuba. And John F. Kennedy agreed to remove some missiles from Turkey as well. However, the story gets a little bit crazier, because a Soviet submarine that was in the dark, meaning they didn't have any communication, was close to Miami. And a naval ship from the United States sent depth charges, which kind of are a warning sign, like you're getting too close, get away. However, the nuclear submarine thought it was an attack, so they had a vote. They had 3 officers. In order for them to send a nuclear bomb, all 3 of them had to vote. 2 of the officers voted to send a nuclear bomb to Miami because they thought the war had already begun. However, thanks to one man who is nameless, he decided to vote against it. He decided not to send a missile to Miami, which would have completely wiped out the city of Miami, and which would have started World War III. Luckily, that man probably saved our world. It's kind of scary to think how close our world was to ending, or I guess the world as we know it. And that is why it's very important. That's why the Cuban Missile Crisis is so vital to learn about. Modern warfare is something we should not play around with. However, humanity has made progress. Since World War II, or actually, I guess, in the first 2 years of World War II, more people died in those 2 years than ever since, in any other war since. So humanity has shown progress when it comes to casualties at war. However, we must always learn about the mistakes from the past so that we don't repeat them in the future. Thank you.